All right, everybody. Pivotal week in the DDL. Angry Apom's coach, drafter, executive, president, CEO, all the above. Loser, one would say, but we don't say that here. Alex is here for the Angry Apom's DDL matchup against the Marble Fall Miniors. This, on paper, looks like it could be a slaughter just based on record. However, I actually really like the plan I've put together this week. I spent longer this week preparing than I have for some of the most of my other matchups in either of my leagues. So at least let's have a respectful battle and maybe can pull off the upset. I mean, we do have a strong squad here, so yeah, let me just get into it. Marble Fall Miniors, the top of their team is going to be Iron Boulder and Kyurem. They also went and picked up Conkeldurr somewhere along the line. I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe. They picked up Suicune, who is an interesting Pokemon that I thought of picking up in my other league. It doesn't hit hard, but it actually does get Calm Mind and some things like that, which could make it very dangerous. I've also seen some interesting Magmar strats, some Spiritomb strats. It's really going to, this week, come down to what our opponent brings. I have a feeling they'll bring Clodsire just because they're going to see our Toxapex and our Amoonguss and our... I do like to get down those toxic spikes, so they might see that and decide we should go along with it. I also could imagine the Fortress for that reason, and also maybe Fortress so that they can put down their own hazards. Let me get into the team this week, though, because it's gonna be a little risky, and I'm gonna know pretty early if I have a shot of winning. But I want to show you what I've put together because I think it's our best chance to win. So yeah, let's take a look. So this week, you will see this file is titled DDL Week 6 No Greninja. I have 3 different iterations of this team. The very first one I put together had... well, actually, let me go through the team and then I'll tell you what the other iterations might have been, and we can see if in hindsight it ends up working out. So here we go. We do have Katniss, who is top of the first Pokemon I added this week, because I knew I needed to go back to a physical attacking Katniss. Looking at the opponent's team, they don't have any crazy defensive Pokemon in general, but most of their Pokemon are either equally defensive, both special and physical, or they have some real weaknesses to physical attackers. Iron Boulder, ironically, is weaker physically than it is specially. So I am bringing pretty much physical attack, no setup, nothing like that. Katniss is going to come in at the end of the game, or maybe even in the middle, depending on what they have left. If I think I can outspeed everything and things are hurt, I'm going to bring Katniss in to get as many KOs as possible. The booster energy is going to be the item. We've got a 220 attack investment, 208 speed investment, and 80 special defense. The goal here is that speed and attack investment gives us 1 additional speed point than attack point, which should make our booster energy kick in and give us the speed boost and not an attack boost. I believe the actual stat totals are attack is 352, speed is 353. That is what we needed to outspeed the Hisuian Zoroark, and therefore pretty much sweep at the end of the game with the booster energy, unless his Iron Boulder is scarfed, which you never know, but I'm hoping that's not the case. And then I did that so that I could throw as many extra EVs into the special defense. I do like Iron Valiant, but what I am finding is Iron Valiant is so frail, and it can get you killed. If you don't kill in one shot, it can get you killed, especially with the special defense being so low. So with the 80 EV investment, it gets our special defense up to a little bit more respectable, 176. To go along with our defense, that's a little over 200 naturally. Hopefully that's enough to take 1 hit from a Pokemon that we don't KO. But yeah, that's what Katniss is going to look like. Next we have Drogon, the Charizard, one of our Terra captains. We're bringing 2 of them this week. Charizard is going to carry the ground Terra type. I am hoping not to use it, but we are actually choice scarfing max speed, but not beneficial nature speed on this Charizard. I went back and forth between choice scarf and choice specs, wondering if I should just come in and hit hard 1 time with a choice specs. But I decided that I would rather do choice scarf to protect us against any setup on the opponent's side. So at a 299 base speed, Choice Scarf gets us up over the 400 mark, which will help us to outspeed an Electrode, unless the Electrode is scarfed in its own right, which we'll talk about that more when we get to some of the future Pokemon, but that Electrode being so fast is scary this week, especially since I'm not bringing my own Electrode. But this Charizard, it's going to have Flamethrower, Scorching Sands, Air/Overheat. Its main goal is going to be to come in and hopefully just get 1 KO. I don't need it to do too much, I really kind of want to save it for that Kyurem. If we outspeed that Kyurem, we can hit it with an Overheat, which honestly in the mocks and battles I've been doing, the Overheat is driving me nuts because it's 90% accuracy, yet it's missed like probably 50% of the time I'm missing Overheats. So that's a little worrisome. But yeah, we're coming in, overheating, and then getting out, or coming in toward the end, overheating just to get a KO. Nothing too crazy, nothing more, nothing less. I've got the Scorching Sands coverage and the Air Slash coverage. Hoping to not go to the ground Terra because I want to save that Terra for another member of our squad. So let's take a look at the rest of the squad. We have Frank O, the Metagross. This week, very offensive, going max attack, 252 plus, full HP to make it bulky in both physical and special bulk, 8 defense just to get its defense a little up, and then the minus special attack nature. And the Assault Vest. If we can keep this Assault Vest on, Metagross becomes an absolute nightmare for his team between Ice Punch, Knockoff, Earthquake, Bullet Punch. We're outspeeding things with Bullet Punch. We're hitting hard. I think its base attack is 405. Metagross, again, I am going super offensive this week. I feel like it plays more to my playstyle. That's what we're doing. And then next we have Ted, who... in a perfect world, I am going to start this game, and if he gets a Toxic Spikes down, I am going to switch into Ted and use that Guts Facade boost to just start wiping through his team. He will potentially bring in that Zoroark, but Zoroark will not be able to hit us with a Ghost move because we are a normal type, and if he does bring in something that's either going to use fighting type attacks, we can Terra Ghost to avoid getting hit by those. We do have the Violite for bulk, and the attack power is going to be crazy on this thing. I have max HP and a whole bunch of special defense. I am bringing bulk up to setup. If we can get one bulk up off to really boost our stats and start facading, or if we can just get poisoned or burned or something, hopefully not para because the paralysis drives me nuts and could waste turns on us. But a status Guts Facade boost on this thing will be nasty. I'm hoping I can use the next Pokemon, Tony, the Incineroar, to safely switch into an Ursaring. I really originally... so this is where I talk about some of the other things I brought. I kept rotating between Greninja, Ogerpon, Cyclizar, and Incineroar this week. I initially brought Cyclizar to the team because I needed Rapid Spin to get rid of any hazards he brought up. But over time... I found that Cyclizar, honestly, if I redrafted this team, I would rather get a Rapid Spin or a Defog Pokemon that has other use as well, because if other than Rapid Spin, Cyclizar does not do much at all. It can hit decently hard with a 95 or 85 base attack. Maybe it's 95. It's just too frail to really get in there and do those attacking things. It's fast, sure, but I mean, overall, I just don't think Cyclizar is working, especially because we can't do like a speed. We can't use like Shift Gear and then Baton Pass into another Pokemon, or Shed Tail into another Pokemon. Shed Tail is banned. So in hindsight, I would probably draft a different Pokemon than Cyclizar, and maybe have another potential option for Rapid Spinning, because we're just not going to be bringing anything to remove hazards. I had to go into Incineroar because I think there's a solid chance he leads with one of 3 Pokemon. I think we're going to see the Hisuian Electrode, which we've seen in many of his battles so far. That Hisuian Electrode, if its Choice Specs, can knock us out. If it Terra Ground, Choice Spec, Terra Blasts us. I think the likelihood of that happening is unlikely, but if it does, hey, all the power to him. He could lead Spiritomb, which will get the initial attack drop. Spiritomb is more of his support Pokemon as well. It can use Pain Split, so we're kind of just going to be going back and forth there. I could maybe get a burn on the Spiritomb, maybe get a parting shot. Or he could bring, I think, potentially the Fortress. Again, right off the bat, if he uses Fortress, that basically means he's trying to set up his hazards. I'm going to want to Parting Shot into something that can... probably Charizard to try to take out that thing quickly. We don't want to let him get too many hazards up because we won't be able to switch around as much. But yeah, Tony the Incineroar is coming. I plan to pivot in and out with Tony a lot, going a lot of bulk on this thing, very little attacking power. The Temper Flare is basically so that I can Will-O-Wisp things, roar things away, Will-O-Wisp it again, roar things away again. I could even roar first turn, we'll see what he does lead with. But try to get the statuses, and then if I try to Will-O-Wisp and he switches into something that's already been Will-O-Wisp, the Temper Flare, it'll fail, and the Temper Flare will do a ton of damage. So yeah, that's Tony instead of Cyclizar. And then last but not least, in support of these other Pokemon, because I originally, again, I led with Greninja, and I was going to use a support Greninja that would use Spikes and Toxic Spikes and U-Turn and maybe Water Shuriken for cleanup. But Greninja is also very frail, and I couldn't in my practice battles get much use out of it either. So we are going Ogerpon. This thing is a support Ogerpon. I know it's ridiculous, you wouldn't expect it, but that is my goal. I'm hoping they don't expect it, and I'm hoping it really helps us win. We can take this Ogerpon, and as you can see, we are Leech Seed, Spiky Shield, Substitute, Horn Leech. I want to bring this in, get Leech Seeds. If they stay in, start just healing back my health and drawing it, bleeding it out. If I'm in a weak matchup, I get the Leech Seed off and I switch into something else, who then, even if they take spikes or stealth rock damage or anything, are starting to get health back while battling. It could also, because of the Leech Seed, induce them to switch a lot. That's why I'm bringing Ogerpon this week, though. I am going full HP. I'm going enough speed to outspeed a bunch of his team, not his heavy hitters and his fast Pokemon, but I wanted to make sure I could outspeed a good chunk of his team. I think I actually outspeed his Rotom Fan, and that was like the main goal, was if he has max speed Rotom Fan for any reason, we will outspeed that. Other than that, he can outspeed us. I think our final speed stat is like 299. And then the bulk, just to get us through. We're hoping we can live a lot of hits here. We need to survive. We need to kick some butt, use this thing to heal up anything that does get hurt. It's going to be odd, but if I switch in correctly, I think it's going to work out. But obviously we will see. And enjoy the battle. Pivotal week. If I lose, I probably don't have much of a chance at playoffs, but if I win, we are right in the thick of it. So, enjoy, and thanks for watching.